Hello everybody, this is going to be a quick demo on why we want to use the amount of time since the previous frame to computer animations instead of just some hard-coded amount per frame. And so to start, let's see this example Pong game I've made is probably the most simple possible version of Pong. It's going to be 1D Pong where we do not change Y at all. It's just Y is going to sit here at 0.5. A lot of times we use capital letters with underscores to indicate things that are constant and never changing. So for example, I have the speed as 0.005. That's how much of the screen I'm going to move per frame. There's a minimum X and a maximum X. That's for when we want to bounce back and forth. We'll do that at that points in X. Y, as I said, is in the center. Half size, that's the size of our square. And X and velocity will change. So while the escape key isn't pressed, we're going to clear the screen, fill this square, X, Y, and half size. Then we'll check to see if we've gone outside of the bounds of min X and max X. And if we've gone under min X, let's make the velocity equal positive speed. And if we go over the maximum X, let's make the velocity negative speed. We're going to add to X. This is the same as X plus velocity. Sort of shortened form of that is plus equals velocity. Either one is fine. We'll make it this just for simplicity. And then we're going to pause some amount. When we press the escape key or close, we'll exit. So let me run this real quick. And you can see that it's bouncing back and forth. The rate seems pretty good, but there's this unfortunate fighting, if you will, between the clearing and the drawing of the our square. This is what a lot of people ask, like, what exactly is enable double buffering? One of the nice things about double buffering is it can speed things up. It also clears up some of these rendering artifacts that you can see where the clearing white and the black filled square can fight it out. If I turn on enable double buffering, it'll defer drawing these until someone calls show. So if I say, oops, standard draw dot show down here, it should look a little bit better, right? There's still a little bit of an artifact, but it definitely looks better. If I take out this show, if I just turn on double buffering, it'll defer all of the drawing and never actually show anything. So you definitely don't want to turn on double buffering and forget to show. But still, this is doing pretty well. What I want you to imagine is it's sort of going along this rate. You're tuning everything. I set this speed equal to this amount per frame. And I'm going to simulate running on a slower machine now. So if I pause and let's say you're on a machine that can only do this at 10 frames per second, right? What's going to happen is that it's going to just run slower, right? And that's not really what we're looking for. We tuned this whole 1D Pong based on a machine that was sort of running faster. Now it's running slower. Imagine you tuned it on a slow machine and then new machines kept coming out. You wanted your game or whatever to work for years. Then it would be running too fast. So it's a good idea to not set your speed based on per frame, but rather something like seconds, right? So let's grab something real quick. Let's make the time, we're going to make this the previous time equals, and we have built this thing, timing get current time in seconds. And if I say the time of the current is the time in seconds, that'll be the iteration in this loop. And I say time double time, or the time delta, is time current minus time prev. I could then decide that the amount that I wanted to move was not velocity, but rather velocity times the time delta. Now, there's a couple of problems with this program I've run right now. I'm going to drop, well, we can just leave it right there. And I want you to think about what I've forgotten to do really quickly and what's going to happen. So let me run the program. You can see it starts out slow and it is going to slowly but surely accelerate and get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, right? And so I want you to, I'm going to stop this. I want you to pause the screen, look at this, and see if you can figure out what went wrong. Okay, and we're back. And so like, hopefully you figured out that I did not update time previous to be the time current. So we are always checking the time delta versus the time before we started. So of course, the amount of time that we want to multiply is not changing. So what we want to do is time prev, when we're all done, is time per, right? So this thing will update as we go. Right, and so now we'll be getting the time since the previous frame, and now it should run at the same rate no matter what. Now it's super duper slow, right? So you're like, okay, well, let me, that's because I ran it on a slow machine. Let me drop it back here. And it's still pretty slow. So what's going on here? So I want everyone to, let me see if I can fix that. I want everyone to pause the screen again and see if they can figure out what has gone wrong with this. Okay, and we're back. And so hopefully a lot of you sort of figured out that, oh, I originally tuned my speed based on per frame. And now I've changed the units of time from per frame, which, 1/100th of a second to a second. So we need to retune this speed variable such that it is based on per seconds as opposed to per frame, which, if you're running at, 40, 50, 60, 100 frames per second before, like that was why it was sort of slower. So now if I move, now I'm tuning my speed based on seconds. And so now it should go back and forth across the screen, move half of the screen or half of this window per second. And even if I change the frame rate, like imagine we're now simulating running on a really slow machine where we can only do 10 frames per second, it'll jump a little bit, but the amount that the Pong ball is moving will stay constant. And so let me drop it back down so we can watch it run smooth again. Sort of the same rate, but in this case, we're drawing a lot more frames, but it's not going faster, which is definitely not what you want to be running on different machines. So anyways, hopefully this will help. This is going to come up in some of your extensions where we ask you to do things based on real time. And if you have trouble with it, reach out to us. We're here to help.